you got to get them in the right state of mind.
Welcome to Your Intended Message, the perfect place for leaders and promising professionals who want to convey the intended message for greater success. Every week, we interview experts who address the challenges and best practices to deliver your message effectively. That might be one-to-one, one-to-few, or one-to-many. And perhaps the most important conversation, one-to-self. I'm your host, George Torok. My guest today is Jason Hunt. Here's 3 facts that I think you should know about Jason. 1, he merged his social media agency with an SEO company to form Merged Media in 2019. 2, he used to be a frontman of a rock and roll band in Osaka, Japan. Maybe we can get him to play us a song, sing us a few licks. And 3, the third fact about Jason is he lives in Fergus, Ontario, Canada with his wife, 3 kids, and fur baby. Jason Hunt, welcome to Your Intended Message.
Happy to be here, George. Super excited.
Delighted to be talking with you. Our listeners might not know, but now they'll know I once lived in Fergus too, so I can relate to the beautiful setting there.
Fergus is, I moved to Fergus just last year. So I've only been there for about a year now, but it was the middle of the pandemic, and there was just less of a need to be in the hustle and bustle of Toronto. And housing prices at the time were actually pretty affordable when you go out that way. I got 3 kids, 4-bedroom. It's there was just the pros and cons of moving out to Fergus. Just the pros outweighed the cons. And to be honest, we're only about 20 minutes from Guelph, so it's a great community, great neighborhood, and it's beautiful up there. We're back onto the Cataract Trail, so it's my fur baby loves it as well.
And the Grand River runs through it. Yeah, good. Wonderful. You're in the social media marketing business. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. So yeah, that's definitely where my origin comes from. Social media marketing back in 2016, when I started my social media agency, it was cutting edge at the time. I would talk to business owners and they would say, wow, that's cutting edge. Let's throw some money at that and put the money off to the side on the print advertising. And then eventually over time, it did become a bit of a saturated space. As if I call a business owner today, I'm probably the 38th person that's called in a given day, which caused me to kind of go out there and merge my agency with another one to just become more versatile.
And when it comes to social media marketing today, where's the opportunity for business to promote, or is it one place, or does it depend?
I think, well, I wouldn't say I know just through experience that things have changed quite quickly in the social media space. Back in the day, it was okay to throw a few posts on your Facebook page, on your LinkedIn, and you get a pretty good amount of organic reach. Nowadays, if you put stuff on social, you'll probably reach about 5 to 10%, if you're lucky, of your liker base, of your audience. So the emphasis now is really on investing for success, right? Paying to play. You could say, and using paid advertising as a means to drive new eyeballs to your business on social media. That is where we've placed a lot of our emphasis on during the last few years, and where a lot of people need to be taking advantage of. But you can't just throw some money on Facebook and expect things to work and hit that boost button. There is a means behind the madness, and you do need to consider that customer journey and the right message that you're getting in front of that user at a given time.
So is it fair to say that putting free posts on social media, although should it even be part of a promotional campaign anymore, or is it just a total waste of time?
So it's a good question, because the way I like to look at it is I wouldn't put organic content as a top priority on the priority list. If you're a business owner and you're wearing many hats, your time is probably better spent in other places. However, if you're running paid ads to drive new eyeballs to your business, when somebody clicks that icon in the top left-hand corner to learn more about your business, so they go to your Facebook page, they would expect to see some content that's updated, that's recent and relevant, that's sitting there to give further credibility to your business. So a lot of clients, I recommend that content that goes onto your feed should be stuff like behind the scenes stuff, content about you and about, and about how you got into your business, or maybe you got a new shipment of product in a given day. If you're a brick and mortar, well, showcase that. It's those people that already know about your business. They're familiar with your business. Those are the people that will follow your page. So that content needs to be geared towards that audience.
And the paid advertising, what does that do for you?
So paid advertising, if done the correct way, is going to drive people into your ecosystem through that top of funnel awareness. So I'll give you a great example. So the way we do it for ourselves is we'll invest money into Facebook to get eyeballs to our podcast. Okay. So once somebody watches a clip from our podcast, what'll happen is we'll retarget those people and get an ad in front of them to send them to our blog to go read a piece of content on a given topic on digital marketing. Now, once they hit our website, we have that little Facebook pixel on the website that's going to tell us a certain user hit our website. And now we can craft a very specific ad and get it in front of that user. Now this user has already listened to our podcast. They've been to our blog. Now is the perfect time to say, hey, why not book a discovery call and see if there's a fit? Let's see how we can help your business. That whole sequence of events breeds not just a lead, but it breeds an actual quality lead that is aware of who I am, is aware of my business and what I do. And it's no longer a cold call or a cold email when I go to reach out to them.
So let me see if I capture that right. So there's a paid ad that directs them to listen to your podcast, which is the Merged Marketing Podcast. And so there's something in the ad, they're not going to it because they want to listen to a podcast. There's some offer of a topic or advice or a question that's addressed in a podcast, I'm guessing, that grabs their attention and go, oh, I want to listen to that. And then they go listen to that. And from your podcast, they go and have a look at your blog.
Exactly. A great example of this is an episode that we recently did with a man by the name of Joe Garcia. And we talked about the 5 steps to manifesting your dream. Okay. That was the topic of the podcast episode. And we put it out there to the world of Facebook. And what I did was, this was important because the target audience is very important. The closer we can marry that message to the person seeing it, the better click cost you're going to get, better lead gen cost you're going to get. You just got to marry that message up as best as possible with that user that's seeing it. So in this specific episode, the 5 steps of manifesting your dream, it was a quick clip of Joe talking about one of those steps. And we used that clip and targeted an audience of people that were entrepreneurs, but also showed interest in the law of attraction. Okay. So by narrowing that audience down to not just entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs that are interested in the law of attraction, this is a very good audience for this particular podcast episode. So that click cost to get somebody from Facebook to go to see that ad, watch the ad, and then go over to our podcast was like 3 cents a click. So
you were able to target specifically, and because it was so specific, there was less competition, and because of that, the cost of the ad was down, and it sounds like you're getting the right people.
That's the key, right? That's what Facebook wants too. Facebook wants that content that's in your feed or in the feed to matter to that person that's seeing it. If you can do that in an efficient way and in a way that Facebook's, it's going to be good it's going to mesh well with the algorithm, then you're going to get a low cost. Another great example of this, we had an episode with a young lady named Katie, and she specializes in using the power of the moon to make business decisions. Very interesting episode. It might be a little woo-woo. Some people might think it's woo-woo, but that episode is not geared for everybody. So what I did was use a clip of her talking about using the power of the moon to make a business decision and target an audience of entrepreneurs that are also interested in astrology. So naturally, by targeting that audience, we're going to generate a lower click cost.
Now that's interesting because, see, I never would have made that connection of, making decisions by the moon. But what's important to realize is there are a lot of people out there who are different than maybe how we think. But if we can identify how they think, we can reach them.
Absolutely. And not just, and sometimes it's not even You don't have to put much thought into it, Gary. It's what it is. It's using, so you don't have to put much thought into it, George. What it is using the algorithm, and Facebook has a lot of data on that audience, right? So you got to keep in mind that you're trying to have a big, massive, wide audience and feeding Facebook some information, because Facebook will find the perfect user for that ad. You just need to kind of guide Facebook in the right direction. So one last example, George, what I'll say is I had somebody on last week talking about how to sell your business, and he's a mergers and acquisitions guy. And that episode, we're basically talking to those small business owners who might be thinking or considering about eventually selling their business. So we targeted small business owners that were also potentially interested in selling their business. So naturally, that episode is a perfect fit for that user, and it's going to generate us a low click cost.
And I didn't know that Facebook could help you identify. I saw criteria like age groups and what countries you're from and maybe what industries you work in, but not these. What's the word I'm looking for? Not these mindsets.
Well, it's not just mindsets, and this is a power of Facebook audiences, right? Is if you have a list, let's say you have a list of podcast listeners for your intended message. Okay, let's say you have the emails that you're sending out on a weekly basis to update them on the recent episode. What you might want to do is grab that list and give it to Facebook. And when I say give it to Facebook, you're not spamming your list of podcast subscribers. What you're doing is telling Facebook to go out there and find similar users to these people that listen to my podcast. So what Facebook's going to do is they're going to scan those 2 billion profiles out there to find the perfect user that matches a lot of those interests, attributes, and behaviors to your podcast listeners. So what Facebook does is they're going to find the books that they read, the movies that they watch, and whether your audience has a tendency to actually click on content and buy things online, or maybe has a tendency to click on content and watch videos. Facebook has that data, and me and you, George, can sit here all day long and be like, oh, let's think about our perfect avatar. Facebook has that data already.
Is Facebook the only one that does that?
Facebook is not the only one that does that. You can do similar type of audiences on LinkedIn. You can do it there as well. But Facebook and Instagram, when I say Facebook, I mean Facebook and Instagram. It's essentially the same company. There's just a massive pool of people. It's the two biggest social media platforms in the world. So they just have a lot of data, and they have a bigger pool of people to choose from and get the perfect custom audience that's not too small and enough where you can target that audience and have a low cost per action.
Now, I assumed that if you were selling business services like marketing in your case, that your key audience would be on LinkedIn.
Good question. So B2B, obviously, if you're a B2B business, you're going to probably find a lot of success on LinkedIn. However, with LinkedIn, the thing about it is that it doesn't have the same audience size as Facebook. It doesn't have the same, like weekends, for example. If you ever try to run an ad on LinkedIn on weekends, you're going to find your click cost is astronomical because nobody's really on the platform on weekends. You know what I mean? So on Facebook, though, your cost is naturally going to be low. If you were to say my audience isn't on Facebook, I'd say there's no chance in heck. You're lying because there's just such a massive population on Facebook. The key is this, though, George, is that you got to get them in the right state of mind. Right? You got to remember, people on Facebook are not in the mindset of purchasing or going shopping or taking time out of their calendar to have a consultation. That's not where they're at. They're sifting through their feed, looking for that next piece of content that captures their interests from their significant other, their kids, their grandkids, their friends. That's the content they want to see. So when you put an ad out there on Facebook, you need to be cognizant of that. And you need to entice them to take the action you want them to take with something of value. And that is the key to using the likes of Facebook, even if you are a B2B business. And we deploy this tactic all the time. And I don't know, can I go down this rabbit hole for a second, George?
Go ahead. Yeah. I'm following right behind you here.
Okay, cool. So what's working really, really well for our clients right now is leveraging the use of a lead magnet or a white paper, a downloadable PDF, something where somebody on Facebook doesn't need to consume at that moment. They don't need to take a lot of time out of their calendar at that moment. It's simply they're going to opt in for it. They're going to provide their information on the Facebook platform because most of your information is auto-populated when you have a contact form on Facebook. So it makes it very easy for somebody to go click, click. And so then you get that information, and then they get that downloadable PDF or white paper through email. So we're using Facebook to get people off of Facebook and get them over to email. Because depending on the business that you're in, they're going to open up that email when they get to the office, maybe on Monday. And then they're going to be in the mindset of business, growth, work, whatever it is your B2B service is offering. Right. So that's how you're using Facebook as a way to get those people off of Facebook. Where on LinkedIn, you can do the same thing, but your cost per lead or cost per acquisition will definitely 9 times out of 10 be higher on LinkedIn, just because the sheer volume of people is much less than Facebook.
Is Google Ads, is that a business opportunity for advertising still? I've heard that the price is just way high.
It's high, but keep in mind, if we're going to compare Facebook to Google, very high intent behind a user Googling something. They're looking for an immediate solution to the problem. That's Google. And if you're in the business of, for example, real estate, well, somebody's looking for homes in Fergus. Well, if you're the top listing for homes in Fergus, there's a good chance you're going to get that click to your website, right? Now, keep in mind, somebody that's Googling something and landing on your website is also in the market and they're shopping around. So you better have a good landing page or website to convert that user into a lead, right? On the Facebook side of it, there's no intent yet. So you need to take that opportunity to build that intent through the use of education. Like I said, the downloadable PDF or white paper, that's an educational piece, right? You're almost like instilling the thought that, or the pain point that they don't know they have yet. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, did you know Fergus is an affordable place to live? A lot of people wouldn't even think about that. But why not craft, if you're a realtor in Fergus, top 5 reasons on why you need to consider moving to Fergus. Boom. Throw it out there, gather those leads, hit them up over email, and continue to drive that narrative on Fergus as the next place for your home.
Okay. And you're right. When mostly, if I search on Google, I want something, probably want to buy or at least learn about making a buying decision. On Facebook, I'm not ready to buy anything. What about YouTube? Is that a place to promote or advertise?
Absolutely. I mean, YouTube advertising is it's done on the Google platform. So when we're doing that as well, you can do the same type of things like targeting people that watch a percentage of video content, getting your ad in front of a video that's relevant to your audience, all that stuff. I mean, the thing is this, like, I like to encourage kind of an omni-channel approach where you're trying everything. Don't just put all your eggs in the Facebook basket. Don't put all your eggs in the Google ad basket. You know what I mean? You really do need to have that omni-channel approach and ensure that you're set up correctly. So for example, having a Facebook pixel on your website. So if somebody Googles looking for homes in Fergus and they land on your website, you should have a very specific ad in front of them on Instagram the next time they're swiping through their Instagram feed. Home in Fergus for sale. Perfect. That's what you just need to have it set up in a way where everything just makes perfect sense and you're getting the right message in front of the right user at the right time.
Oh, so if they Google homes in Fergus, they come to your site and look, they don't know that they're picking up a little code that says this person was looking for homes in Fergus. And so then when they go to Facebook or Instagram, it says, find that homes in Fergus thing and show it to this person.
Exactly. So what happens is the Facebook pixel picks up that this user landed on the website. So you create an ad on Facebook, much like when I told you about that custom audience earlier on, where you grab your podcast list. You're doing essentially it's the same thing, but instead of a custom audience of your emails, it's creating a custom audience of people that have hit your website. So that custom audience can now get targeted with a very specific ad. And I think the Fergus example is a great one. Somebody's on your website looking for homes in Fergus, a new home comes for sale. You create a Facebook ad targeting those people that were on your website looking for homes in Fergus.
Brilliant. Okay, tell me about TikTok.
TikTok is my personal favorite platform as a consumer. And that's a good and bad thing. It's good because I love how it's just so easy to consume the content, short little 15, 20-second clips that are geared towards that short attention span, which I like, which is really catering to the new generation, which doesn't have a very long attention span. But on the flip side of it, it definitely is an addictive platform. I've kicked myself many nights, spending hours on the platform just going through content because it's so addictive and you never want to leave it. You want to see that next piece of content. So I definitely recommend it. And it's not just for business owners. I recommend it because it's not just a platform for kids. You're seeing a lot of business owners are using the platform now. You're getting a lot of inspiration and motivational content through there, a lot of tips and hacks. It's just very valuable information. And I think the algorithm is on par with Facebook in terms of getting the right message in front of the right user. And it's a battle of retention. All of these social media platforms are in that battle of retention. They want to try to keep that user on their platform as long as possible. And TikTok has done a really good job at doing that. George, if you're not on TikTok yet, you should probably sign up for an account, because even clips like this of what we're doing right now there's an audience out there on TikTok that are longing or wanting to see these your intended message clips. So it's definitely a good opportunity for you just to further promote the podcast.
Okay, and yes, I'm guilty. I thought that TikToks was just for kids who are doing dances.
Used to be. It used to be a platform called Musical.ly. And then it changed its name and rebranded to TikTok. And now it's really a platform for everybody. And it's the fastest growing platform out there.
So is the approach with TikTok similar to with Facebook? They're not on there to buy. They're just looking for entertainment or tips. And you are building credibility. And can you send them from TikTok to your website or your email?
Great question. So what's interesting about TikTok is if you're going to advertise your business on TikTok, you do not create it like you would like a polished ad as you would maybe on Facebook or YouTube. It's not going to be that type of content. The content that works on TikTok is the content that blends in. Okay, it's got to blend into that feed. And that's why you hear a lot of businesses hopping on trends, right? You almost need to make it look like a very personal video that a friend would make with some music in the back. It could be somebody dancing, but then show them a hamburger at the end of it and have a call to action at the bottom and be like, check out our menu. You know what I mean? That would be a good ad on TikTok because people would watch that ad. They'd watch it to the end because it's entertaining and they're not trying to be sold something. So the most effective advertising on TikTok are those ads that are not hard selling, if that makes sense.
Not hard selling, but simply nudging them in a direction.
Absolutely. Nudging them in a direction or hitting a pain point or outlining a solution to a problem. The Fergus example, I just like using that specific example because we've used it a few times. So if I'm trying to sell a home in Fergus, a great ad might be a trending song that's on TikTok and maybe giving a tour of inside of a house in Fergus, or it could be showing the Grand River and showing all the beautiful amenities and places to go in Fergus with some really nice music. You could have the Eagles playing or something like that. And just like you have Fergus and showing all the sights and sounds and really capturing that vibe of that user that would be looking at that content. So you really need to kind of understand your audience on TikTok as well, because if you're trying to target first-time home buyers that are living in Toronto, maybe that music that you pick to go with your video should be geared, maybe it could be hip hop, could be Justin Bieber, could be something like that. So music definitely has a bigger play in the TikTok platform than it does on others. And you can kind of get an idea on how you can use the music to your advantage.
So if I were to use Led Zeppelin, there's a lot of people that I'm leaving out.
Absolutely. So you need to be cognizant of that. If your audience, the audience of your intended message are Led Zeppelin listeners, then you're on brand, right? But, it's the best thing to do in that situation. And what I tell clients is just test Led Zeppelin versus Drake. You know what I mean? See what happens. You know what I mean?
What about Pinterest? Where does this come in?
Yeah, that's interesting. I had a call with Pinterest there a few weeks ago, and Pinterest is very aggressive, especially with their sales, to try to get marketers like myself to invest in the platform. If you're a business that has a lot of content, that's visual content, and you're targeting a national audience, Pinterest isn't a bad idea. Try organic first, right? Put up some pictures out there and things like that. But if you're trying to target a very small community, if you're a local business, brick and mortar, probably not the play for you. There's just not enough traffic on a local level to benefit from the platform. And this is one of the questions I had for the rep at Pinterest is like, hey, is this good for local? And they even admitted it's probably not the best platform. You'll be paying too much to get in front of those eyeballs.
Now, we seem to have covered the ones that I'm aware of. Is there somebody else out there that you see coming up in the social media world that could be the next hot promotional channel?
Yeah, you see a lot of these channels coming up all the time, and the thing is that whether it's a platform like OnlyFans or whatever it is, there's just so many new platforms that are emerging out there. Another one was, Anchor for a while for audio was the audio Twitter, but and I've dabbled into some of them, but I think the thing is that people like routine, they like their platform, and nowadays all the platforms are all trying to mimic each other. So essentially, it's just like, they're all going to be essentially the same thing. Like, take for example these short videos on TikTok. Well, you have Instagram Reels, which copied TikTok. And then from Reels, you have LinkedIn stories that are copying Instagram stories. And then you got Twitter stories. There's just all these stories. All they're trying to do is it's that battle of retention and keeping people on the platform. So for another platform to kind of emerge, Clubhouse did a good job of this, is they emerged with something new to the game, and it attracted people for a hot minute. But I'm not sure, like a platform like Clubhouse, I don't know I don't know the longevity of it. I liked it for probably a couple months, and then I prefer podcasts. You know what I mean? I prefer audiobooks to that. I got very, very tired of this back and forth, people talking over each other all the time. It was just, I just kind of got sick of it. And I like the quality of a podcast more so than the talks that we're having on Clubhouse. So I think the key is that you are going to see these platforms emerge, but I really do think I don't see the Facebooks, Instagrams, TikToks, and Twitters and LinkedIn's going anywhere. I think those are the big five that people need to keep their eyes on.
Your firm is Merged Media, and you help businesses with their social media marketing. The place to find you is at merged.ca.
You got it.
And you also host a podcast, the Merged Marketing Podcast. I'm guessing you talk about marketing.
Yeah, it's marketing. It's a marketing podcast. We also talk about sales and mindset, really geared towards those entrepreneurs and business owners out there. I'm a business owner myself, so naturally on my podcast, I like to selfishly serve myself in those conversations, and my audience gets to benefit from it as well. And that's kind of the way I look at it. And we're at episode just recorded 108 today, so it's it's been a great ride, and it's been amazing, and built a lot of great relationships from it.
Quick question. The podcast, how does that help your business?
Great question. So there's no direct ROI from it. I wouldn't say that. I would say that we use it as a top of funnel to really bring people into our ecosystem. That's one way you can look at it is the audience, right? And branding of our company. But the other way to look at it as well is building the relationships with those guests that I have on the show. A lot of those guests that have been on our show are now some of our best referral partners, and they get monthly payouts from my company just from the business that they've referred me from, understanding what I do. And I think the big part of a podcast, and this is why podcasting is just such a good opportunity for any business out there, is it helps you become that know, like, and trusted source in your industry. And that's what we're all trying to do here, right? Is become that know, like, and trusted source. Because if you're the know, like, and trusted source in your industry, those sales calls or conversations that you have with prospects and leads are that much easier when everybody has their guard down.
In wrapping up, Jason, if you could give 1, 2, or 3 pieces of advice to a business owner who's trying to figure out if their online marketing is working, what should be the questions that they're asking of themselves and of their marketing team?
Yeah. So great question. So first of all, you need to be the brand ambassador. Okay. You need to be the brand ambassador of your business. And what that means is you need to be comfortable with getting yourself out there and sharing your story and showing the behind the scenes footage and leveraging social media, because there's a good chance that your competitors are. Now, if you're the business owner, that's way out of your comfort zone. And I get this all the time. It's like, Jay, that's not me. I can't do that. I can't talk about this educational video or instructional video or talk about my story. It's just not that interesting. I say to them, it's like, you need to get comfortable, or if you're not, find somebody that is, because every brand out there needs to have that person that represents the business. That's the face of the business, because we're in the age now where people want to work with people. They don't want to work with logos. And that is so key now. And so it's more important than ever is building those relationships with other people, because the future is working with people. The future is communities. And if you don't have a representative of your business that's willing to go out there and represent your business, then I think your business is naturally going to fall short. I think that's a big one. And another thing is, if you're going to use social media, like a lot of business owners have, but they say they haven't seen success, 9 times out of 10, it's because they haven't deployed the patience. You have to be patient on social media. You whether it's posting every day. If you're going to say you're going to post every day, then post every day. Don't post every day for 2 weeks and then let it slip. If you're going to do it 3 times a week, do it 3 times a week. Always do it 3 times a week, and don't let it stop. I personally put times in my calendar each week for when I'm going to be creating content for social, and it's in there every single week, because you're not going to see it overnight. You're probably not going to see it over 30 days, but if you just remain consistent with it, you will see the success. I guarantee it.
Good advice. My guest today is Jason Hunt, reminding you that you need to be the one who people know, like, and trust. If you like what you heard, remember to like, comment, and share this podcast. Come back every week for more practical insights to help you deliver your intended message. I'm your host, George Torok.